Welcome back, you guys. And NBA players are not perfect on the court. They have their strengths and they have their weaknesses. Those weaknesses might be what's separating them from being a borderline all-star to a legitimate star, or what's holding them back from being the clear-cut best player in the league. Now, some of these players might have one or two other weaknesses as well, but I want to focus in on one weakness that is holding them back, and if they overhaul it a bit, it will take their individual game and their team success to a new level. First on the list is Devin Booker, and while the Suns were a punching bag again for the Western Conference, Devin had a nice statistical season. He had a career high in points per game, assists, free throw attempts, and field goal percentage. But there was one thing that he took a massive hit on last year, and that was his three-point percentage, specifically pull-up three-point shots. Shooting threes last season, Devin shot 32% on 6.5 attempts per game, which was below the league average for three-point percentage. It was his worst season in three-point percentage of his career. We all know how important the pull-up three-point shot is. Curry, Lillard, Harden, Paul George, and other players have become elite players because of many things, but one of those things is the pull-up three-point shot. Basically, every perimeter player that's considered a top 10 or a top 15 player has that pull-up three-point shot. When the defense takes away the rim or is playing the screen tight, those guys can pull up on a dime and shoot the three. And when you start to make that shot at a respectable rate, it opens up other things like a pass to a shooter or a drive to the rim that can lead to free throws. In the 2017-2018 season, Devin Booker made 72 out of 198 pull-up three-point shots, which put him at a respectable 36%. To put that in perspective, Victor Oladipo made 77 out of 216 pull-up three-point shots that season. That is a 36% mark. But in the 2019 season, that pull-up three-point shot failed Booker, and it was a weakness. Devin made 68 out of 234 pull-up three-point shots, which put him at a 29% clip. Not only did he make less of those type of shots, but he also took more than he did the year before. And that is what ruined his three-point percentage. He was good at making catch-and-shoot threes, but the pull-up three game he was attempting was not working. Now, was this season an outlier or something that will continue? In the 2 years before this, Booker shot 38% and 36% from three, which was above the league average. So he has shown that he can take and make three-point shots. Teams aren't going to leave him open. People respect his shot. But for the Phoenix Suns to be a respectable team, and for Devin Booker to take that next step in his offensive development, he needs to make that shot. The pull-up three-pointer was a weakness for him last year. He needs to get back to where he was at in 2018, or it's something that will hold his potential back. Karl Towns is the next player, and I would like to see him become a more impactful and talkative defender. He's a center that can dribble, shoot threes, rebound, and play in the post. He's about as complete as an offensive player as you can be, and he'll probably finish top 15 in points when his career is over as long as he stays healthy. But the other side of the floor is where we need to see some improvement. Now, he's not as bad on defense as he was in the 2017 season. He's improved a bit, but the Timberwolves were still one of the 7 worst defenses last year. What helped them out was the midseason trade for Robert Covington. Unless you're somebody like Robert Covington, perimeter players can't transform an entire defense like the center position can. Players like Rudy Gobert, Miles Turner, prime Marc Gasol, Roy Hibbert earlier in this decade, they were able to transform their team's defenses. As the back line of the defense, they can communicate with other players to call out plays, and they can alter shots at the rim. Karl's offense will always be there for him, but what can make Minnesota a tougher team to play against is him becoming an above-average defender. He's going to be in his 5th season, so I would like to see Karl help out Covington in impacting the team defense to an average level. Whether that is defending the rim better, getting better at guarding smaller players, or communicating on the floor when the offense is moving around, Cat can improve in all of those areas. DAngelo Russell of the Golden State Warriors is the next player on here. D'Lo had a breakout year. He went from getting benched in the 4th quarter earlier in the season to taking over the Nets offense when injuries happened and helping them get to the playoffs. He wasn't perfect though, and the Nets were around a 500 team. Out of the 24 players that averaged 21 points per game or more, DAngelo Russell had the least amount of free throw attempts per game. He attempted just 2.5 per game last year. Now, skinny guards typically don't get to the free throw line as often as bigger guards and forwards. Someone like Kyrie actively avoids contact to contort his body or flick up a tough layup, which is why his free throw rate is so low. Sometimes in situations where D'Lo could attack the rim, he likes to pull up for a short mid-range shot or take a floater. He doesn't have crazy bounce off of 1 or 2 feet when he jumps, so it's not like he can rise above or past a lot of centers. They'd block his shot or at least make it very tough for him to find an angle to score. Someone I mentioned earlier, Devin Booker, he became better at getting his point total up by drawing more fouls. Booker uses pump fakes to draw fouls and uses his body to get the contact needed to get the refs to call it. Now with Russell, it's weird because he is 6'5", so it's not like he's Chris Paul's height. He doesn't have the excuse of being short to say that's why I struggle at getting to the free throw line. When you are a main part of a team offense from the perimeter, getting to the free throw line is a big part of getting points and putting the defense in foul trouble. Pretty much every elite guard has had the ability to get to the free throw line, or there's someone like Kyrie or Steph who are using their finishing and three-point shooting to make up for it. If DAngelo wants to take that next step from a one-time all-star, he needs to become more clever at drawing fouls or taking contact to get to the line. Elite players, even if they are getting some BS calls, they know how to draw fouls, and it gets you easy points. Besides Steph, no one on this Warriors team gets to the free throw line that often, so D'Lo can try to help out there. The fourth player we got on here is Kawhi Leonard of the LA Clippers. Now this Clippers team is going to have a ton of strengths as a team. Their team defense will be great, they will be an effective three-point shooting team, and they will have multiple isolation scoring threats. But one thing that they don't have is a high-level passer, a guy that is great at making passes at tough angles, and a guy that knows how to make timely passes. The best passer on the team is probably Lou Williams, but he is looking to get in rhythm as a scorer and get to the free throw line first. The Clippers aren't a selfish team, but being able to make passes quick and timely will be a weakness for them, and Kawhi won't be able to fix it. Kawhi was the Finals MVP, but he does have his limitations. He's an ISO-based scorer. He's thinking to score first. Kawhi is not a selfish player, but he's also not a setup guy that leads to a bucket, and that's okay, but within the context of this new Clippers team, it's going to be a weakness. In the playoff series against the 76ers, Kawhi had 28 assists to 23 turnovers, while Kyle Lowry had 42 assists to only 12 turnovers. This past year with the Raptors, you saw plenty of times Kawhi suffering from tunnel vision. Sometimes he'll take a tough contested shot that should have been a pass. Sometimes he has trouble passing out of double teams. I mentioned timely passes when talking about the Clippers as a team. Kawhi definitely is not a great timely passer. He is sometimes late at seeing the passing angle. Sometimes he is thinking scoring first, and he made a dribble so he can't get the ball out quick enough. It really just comes down to his feel for passing. Some guys have it, some guys don't. Guys like Harden, LeBron, Steph, and even Durant can leverage their passing skills for easier shots for their teammates. Kawhi doesn't really do that outside of the basic stuff. That's the one big weakness in his game when you're comparing him to other superstars. It's weird because Kawhi should be a better passer. His hands are huge, so he should be able to whip the ball where he likes to, but he just doesn't have that feel. Kyle Lowry was able to cover up that weakness for him, but there won't be anybody to cover it up for him in LA. I don't want to overstate the weakness because the Clippers are going to be really good, but for Kawhi to create separation from other elite players, and for him to help the Clippers offense, he needs to become a better passer. If Kawhi was a Kevin Durant level passer, I'd be more comfortable with putting him as the best player in the league. The second to last player I have on here is Kawhi's former teammate, and that is Pascal Siakam. Pascal took a massive leap in his development. He went from scoring 6 points per game in the 2018 playoffs to being the number 2 or occasionally number 1 option on a 58-win team that made the finals. If Pascal stays where he is at as a player, that's fine. A 6'9" power forward that can run the floor, score on post-ups, and defend in space is valuable in every starting lineup. But now with Kawhi Leonard gone, there is a shot creation gap that needs to be filled in Toronto, and some of Pascal's weaknesses will be amplified. And that weakness is being a lead ball handler in the half court and in semi-transition. Kawhi took on the role of being the shot creator in the half court last season. Now without him there, the Raptors need somebody to step up. Nick Nurse should put Pascal in situations where he is the lead shot creator or lead ball handler. We've seen lead ball handlers that are rim attackers like Russell Westbrook, Ben Simmons, or Giannis. They can lead an offense by drawing in defenders and making a pass, getting to the free throw line, or finishing with 2 points. Russ can create offense with his dribbling speed. Giannis is almost 7 feet tall and can weave around or through the defense with his height or strength. Same with Ben Simmons. He's 6'10", can push the ball with his speed and strength to make a play that leads to points. Why can't Pascal grow into a similar mold like those players? He can score on one-on-ones near the elbow and in transition, but he does struggle sometimes to create separation with his dribble in the half court that leads to a forced shot or a pass out. Pascal could improve in that area. he needs to have a tighter dribble and be able to create space for himself and his teammates. Can he be a 20-point per game guy that also gets 5 assists a night? Those type of numbers would carry him to his first All-Star game. He took the leap from 7th guy off the bench to somebody who averaged 20 points per game in the finals, so taking another leap to a lead ball handler and shot creator in the half court isn't too out of the realm to me. Now, 3-point shooting is also a weakness for Pascal, but he'd take a bigger leap as a player if he became a better dribble drive player in the half court. The last player on here is Lonzo Ball. He dealt with another year of injuries, but he showed that he's good at timing passes, he can move the ball in transition, and he's an even better defender than we thought he was from year 1. But of course, he has his weaknesses, and we can focus in on a few of them, but I thought why not start with the basics, and that is making free throws. We can go on about his 3-point shooting off the catch or on pull-ups or his one-on-one shot creation to get to the rim, but the biggest standout weakness to me is free throw shooting. Lonzo does not get to the free throw line often. He only averages about 1 free throw attempt per game. Not only does he get to the free throw line just 1 time per game, he shot below 50% in both of his 2 seasons. I saw someone say that Lonzo has more songs on Spotify than he does free throws made. Thought that was kind of funny. A center shooting below 50% from the free throw line is bad, but somewhat explainable. A perimeter player shooting below 50% from the free throw line is just plain bad, no excuses. All guards should be at least near league average at making free throws. Fixing the free throw shooting also requires him to work on another weakness, and that's his one-on-one shot creation with the ball. If he's not getting the reps in game at the free throw line, he's not going to be able to improve his percentage in a big way unless he just knocks down that 1 free throw attempt per game. So yeah, Lonzo, get to the rim, make your free throws when you're there so you can stay on the court. You might be asking where are other players like Giannis or Ben Simmons. I could have also put LeBron on here for his free throw shooting. I just wanted to focus in on these 6 players since I haven't talked about Lonzo Ball or Devin Booker much on the channel. And that's it for me. If you want to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, I am trying to get more active on IG, so check the links in the description for that. And I'll see you guys soon with some videos later this week.